Should platformers still cost full price? So recently there's been a lot of negative attention put on Nintendo's pricing for the Nintendo Switch 2. There's a lot of negativity going around the console just based on pricing, and it's a shame. You know, the world is changing. I think inflation has been as bad as it has been ever. Mario Kart World being a whole ass $80 is kind of crazy to think about. But more importantly for this video, I just want to talk about the idea of platformers being charged at full price. This idea originally came about because people were complaining that a simple platformer like Donkey Kong Bonanza is being charged for $70 whole ass dollars, which is the same price that Tears of the Kingdom was charged for. How could this 3D platformer be the same price as this big open world game such as Tears of the Kingdom? Well, first of all, what I will say is that the game looks freaking incredible and I'm very excited to play it. But biases aside, it does bring up a question that I've actually thought about many times before. Should simplistic games like platformers cost the same as a full-priced game? Let's actually ignore Donkey Kong Bonanza for a second and look back at Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Wonder was the first ever 2D Mario game to finally go back to Mario actually having some personality. It wasn't just another bland new soup game, there was a bunch of different mechanics and different level designs that we haven't really seen for ages since the Super Nintendo. A lot of the concepts and new power-ups are really exciting for us players to enjoy in a new 2D Mario game. So the game finally came out and it was priced at a whole ass $60. And I played through the game, I 100%ed it in just 2 days, and I did have a blast. It was a very fun and consistent experience. But it wasn't anything that completely blew my socks off. In case you couldn't tell, I'm a huge Mario fan, right? I can't get away from the series. And I can't help but feel like, yeah, maybe this game wasn't actually worth the full $60. Let me put it into context for you, right? $60 for this game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and then look at the game that came out 6 years prior to Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Super Mario Odyssey. And doesn't it kind of hurt to see that these two games are the exact same price? And I think anybody who's legitimately played all the way through Odyssey and Wonder can tell you in a heartbeat that Odyssey is the better game. And it is honestly fair enough to say that it is the greatest 3D platformer of all time. Like seriously, there aren't really that many games that can contest it. I mean, unless you count the legacy of Mario 64, but you know, if we're talking about a modern platformer with modern controls and camera and physics and everything, I really struggle to think of anything that beats Mario Odyssey. That game is absolutely deserving to be charged full price. Like if I compare my full experience with Mario Odyssey and my full experiences with like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring or whatever the frick modern games, I think it's very comparable. If anything, I think that my experience with Odyssey is better in a lot of ways. Albeit it's a 3D platformer, but I do legitimately think its experience is equivalent to that of other full-priced games. So a good 3D platformer could be worth a full $60 price tag. That makes enough sense. But again, it is very, very dependent. Because I'm not just gonna sit here and say that every single 2D platformer is not worthy of being a full-priced game. Because there's games like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze that exist. Despite being 2D, I still think it has so many aspects that make it absolutely deserving of the full price. You see, Odyssey I think is worth its full price tag because it has amazing movement, amazing world design, amazing exploration, but Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I believe it's worth its $60 price tag, despite being 2D, because of how perfectly it does a 2D platformer. The levels are fun to play through because the movement is interesting by itself. This is honestly just a problem that I have with 2D Mario in general. 2D Mario's moveset just feels very archaic. There's not much room for skill expression here. I will admit that the badges help a lot, but my problem with the badges is that the levels are not designed specifically around the badges. The most fun levels in Super Mario Wonder were the badge levels because those levels were specifically designed around those specific badges. It's no surprise as to why my favorite level in Super Mario Wonder is the very final test, the true final badge check, where every single section of the level equips you with one of the badges. I think it's a genius level and I really wish there were more levels like it to prove that, hey, Super Mario Wonder has what it takes to be a perfect platformer, just like Tropical Freeze is. See, Tropical Freeze doesn't just have one of these ultimate levels, every single temple level is one of these levels. Okay, so then knowing all this, is it literally just because Donkey Kong Country is harder? There's more challenge, so that makes it more worth being a $60 game? There's a slight portion of it that I do believe that to be the case. Like in order for a 2D platformer to truly reach the heights of a 3D game, I think it kinda needs a really good challenge. While I do love the idea that platformers always have this true final test level that derived from Mario Galaxy 2, you know, the Grandmaster Galaxy, I think we should have that in addition to having smaller true test levels, like the temple levels from Tropical Freeze. So the question still stands. Do platformers truly deserve to be priced at a full price? At the end of the day, Donkey Kong Bonanza is $70. They are charging $10 more above what I had previously said to be the greatest 3D platformer of all time. Like, damn, does that mean that Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be the new best 3D platformer of all time? Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I'm a huge Donkey Kong Country fan, so I think it's possible, legitimately, but that's not really the question here. The question is, could a platformer give an experience that's worthy of being full priced at $70? At the end of the day, let's be honest, it depends on the player. For someone like me who adores platformers, I know that this game is going to be worth $100 in my eyes. Obviously the game's not out yet, so I can't say that for sure, but it looks really freaking good. But you might be thinking, it's just a jumpy game, right? How could this game ever compare to my beloved Elden Ring? And for my fully biased opinion, you know, Mario stuff all over the freaking place, I do think it's worthy. Not too long ago, I beat Elden Ring for the first time, for example, and I enjoyed the game. I did. There were some really, really great moments in there. But I think it made me realize what I love so much about a good platformer. Platformers are consistent. Yeah, Elden Ring had some of those heights that I really, really enjoyed. I really, really loved learning the boss patterns and getting through the bosses. Super, super great feeling. Legitimately, I feel like I only really enjoyed my time with it for 30% of my playtime. Basically, my favorite part of the game were the boss fights, as is most people's favorite part of the game. But honestly, the world exploration got kinda stale. And this is not just me hating on open world games, far from it. I think Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are some of my favorite games of all time. But this is just to say that there's some give and take here. Yes, getting through some of those boss fights had extremely high highs, but that was only 30% of my full playtime of the game. Who cares how long a game keeps me playing if 70% of my playtime is not enjoyed? At that point, I'd say it's like a 30-hour game. And guess what? Super Mario Odyssey probably had around 30 to 40 hours of playtime, and I enjoyed every single second of my playtime. Good platformer feels extremely consistent. I'm having a grand time the entire way through, and there's not much that can really make me unenjoy the game. But again, I digress. I enjoy platformers, so it's easy for me to say I am absolutely satisfied with paying a full price for these platformers. But I also understand why you would not be interested in spending full price for a platformer. A lot of people just think that Nintendo is being really greedy, charging for all these simplistic games a full $60 price tag. And I'm not going to sit here and defend the company of Nintendo because there's not really much to defend. But I don't think that they're incorrect in the pricing for some of these games, like Super Mario Odyssey. A very well-designed platformer should be considered to be on the same level as a bunch of these other big budget games. Hell, let's take a look at 2024's Game of the Year, Astro Bot. This game was a freaking blast, man. Like, what am I even supposed to say about this game? This is basically Sony's first attempt at making a platformer, and they hit it right out of the park. And guess what? They charged $60 for it. And did people complain? No, because the game was incredible. While sure, Astro Bot didn't have the amazing movement and as interesting world designs that Mario Odyssey had, it made up for it by having extremely intelligent gimmicks that made use of the PS5's hardware. Astro Bot is modern proof that yes, you can make a modern platformer that is deserving of Game of the Year. Astro Bot basically did my job for me in this video. I mean, this is a stacked lineup for Game of the Year. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is what many people consider to be one of the best DLC standing game ever. Metaphor ReFantazio is basically the next Persona game, so that's insane. And yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you know, another portion to one of the most important video games of all time, no big deal. And Astro Bot beat every single one of these. It is honestly truly incredible. And yes, by comparison, it's a simple game, but does that matter? It was consistently fun the entire playthrough. Yeah, there was nothing in Astro Bot that made me go, oh my god! But it did consistently have a smile on my face the entire time. And that right there is what a good platformer does. Platformers are consistent. They leave a smile on my face the entire time. I can just sit back, enjoy, and play the freaking game. Not much on my mind. I don't need to focus on some deeper story. Play the game, chill, explore the levels for thingamabobs or whatever, and sometimes that's just all you need in a good game. And I think Astro Bot winning Game of the Year last year is a good wake-up call to gamers who didn't grow up with platformers and don't really want to give them a chance. If you are one of those people, try a good platformer. Try Astro Bot, try Super Mario Odyssey, try Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, try Rayman Legends, try, maybe not Celeste, Celeste might be a little bit too difficult, but try one of these super well-made platformers. It just might get you excited for future platformers, like Donkey Kong Bonanza. But I hope I was able to get across some of the reasons why I do love platformers, and why I will justify spending $70 on Donkey Kong Bonanza. And to be honest, I'll probably enjoy it more than a lot of the modern games that I've played. It's that consistent enjoyment that I just can't get away from. And I'm truthfully not afraid to admit that I am absolutely gonna try to get the Switch 2 at launch. Let me know in the comments what you think about the whole pricing thing for platformers and more simplistic games like Nintendo games. I know it's a super hot topic right now. If you guys like this video, make sure you leave a like. If you dislike this video, make sure you leave a dislike, because I like opinions. Subscribe now to become a Later Manner on the Later Manner Express, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the content that I produce. Well, anyway, everybody, later manners.